We need to be aware of the fact that our water availability is limited. We're also faced with a warming climate over time. But then the more specific stuff is actually quite interesting. It's really just a combination of three factors. One is that we had a heat wave. The second is that we had very little rain. And thirdly, people were watering their gardens. That led to this kind of culmination where we had very limited supply in Joburg, and we had to move obviously to level 1 water restrictions, and from there to level 2 water restrictions. So when you move to sort of stage 2 water restrictions, basically what it means is all of stage 1 applies, and that's effectively not to use water at certain times of the day for watering of gardens, to avoid using a hose pipe to water your car, so to wash your car, and basically generally conserving water wherever you can. The difference with stage 2 is that there's now pressure management that can be applied. And what that means is that in essence that there could be lower pressure that runs through the system. So you might find that when you put on the tap, there's just not quite as much water coming through.
Although Alex considers the current situation as serious, he points out that it's not unusual.
What we're dealing with in many ways is a natural climatic variability, which is known as the El Nino. And that means that often every 10 years we will have a drought and persistently hot weather. And that's a natural sort of climatic event that we have to live with, basically. But on the other hand, we know that we waste a lot of water in this country, for example, and in Gauteng as well. So it's kind of a combination of understanding that there are natural factors that we're just dealing with, but that also we have quite serious issues we have to address. I think about 25% of the water in the city of Joburg is unaccounted for, which means it's lost through leaks or through just poor billing or something like that. So, like with much of the country, if we can make sure our billing systems are accurate, if we can make sure we fix leaks and report them as quickly as possible, and account for all that water which is basically lost in the system, we'll go a very, very long way. So I wouldn't say it's a crisis. In many ways, it's just dealing with a predicted series of events. But as long as we take the right remedial action, we should be okay.
Both national and provincial governments have announced plans to deal with the countrywide drought.
And a lot of this stuff that we know needs to be done or is being done already, but it's just packaged for us to understand. So a lot of it's around water reuse. So if we do that, we will have a much more secure water future. Water conservation is another key aspect. So if we can save water, whether it be through reducing leakage or whether through just be better monitoring, we'll be in a much better position. There are also some talks around increasing tariffs during drought periods, and that possibly is something we have to look at. Ultimately, a tariff is a way to send a price signal to people and to say, listen, water is becoming more scarce at this point in time, so you need to manage your behavior and try and reduce water wherever you can. So a lot of it is actually, I think, is about the basics and getting the basics right. So the plans, I think, are very viable. If we look at the much broader scale, the supply option at the moment we're focusing on is the second phase of the Lesotho Highlands water project. We have quite a good track record overall in being able to deliver water to the country. And I think there's a lot of emphasis now that this is a key risk we have to address, like we had to address electricity as well.
So, whatever the current state of Johannesburg's water availability and supply, indications are going forward, all should use water much more sparingly. Marisa de Klerk, Joburg Today.